Good morning. How are we doing today, folks? I'm so glad you could join us. We're going to have some fun as we do most every Sunday. And who do we have with us today?
Say hello to a new friend on an old road. Take a two-lane trip of memories into mysteries unknown. Come along for the ride. Jim Hinckley's America. Jim Hinckley's America.
David, good morning, all the way from Louisville, Kentucky. David, how are things in your world today? Good, I hope. Well, good morning, mi amigos. Okay, let's just imagine for a moment. You've had an exciting and memorable, memory making, fun filled day on the road. You met some fascinating people. Yes, Lulu, I just have the picture up. Okay, for imagination's sake, you've enjoyed an exciting, memory making, and fun filled day on the road. You met some fascinating people, you took in the sights, you found a hidden gem of a diner where the coffee and pie are superb. Now what? A Super 8, a Holiday Inn, or Marriott will provide lodging, a port in the storm, if you will. And chances are that if you find a chain motel, you can find a chain restaurant nearby. So that eliminates any concerns about imminent starvation. And in the morning, the continental breakfast will probably keep you alive until you can find real food. But let's face it, generic is just not good, be it motels or food. It is, it's kind of like taking a Greyhound trip along Route 66. They spoil the mood. They're as exciting as mashed potatoes without butter or gravy on a white paper plate. At the end of a fun-filled day on the road, you need a place that keeps the sense of adventure alive. You need a place to lay the weary head that's as memory-making as the trip itself. As we all know, there's a caveat to that. Sometimes the memories are nightmares when you choose something different for the night's lodging. Of course, as every seasoned traveler knows, on a road trip, even bad memories are a part of the adventure. Besides, the bad memories also make for tremendous stories. This morning, I'm sharing some of my favorite places for a good night's sleep. Magical places, such as Fender's River Road Resort in Needles, California. I know I joke a lot and call this Needless California. It does get a tad bit hot in summer. But this is the only motel and RV park located on the Colorado River, the National Old Trails Road, and Route 66. Now, it's not a five-star property. Few of your historic motels and hotels are. But my friend Rosie Ramos runs a tight ship, It's clean, it's quiet, it's comfortable, and it is a time capsule with a riverfront park ideally suited to enjoy a cool evening breeze, a leisurely conversation with fellow road trip enthusiasts, and a cold beverage. And there are a couple good restaurants within spitting distance. Since we are talking road trips, let me give a shout out to my friends at Route Trip USA. These folks eat, breathe, and sleep road trip adventures. They test the beds, consult with the travel experts, and put people like me to work to ensure the client has the best road trip possible. If you're planning a road trip adventure and want to ensure that it's memorable in a good way, give these fine folks a holler. Now, let me introduce you to magical, wonderful, delightful Maystown, Illinois, with its crown jewel, the Corner George Inn. Located less than an hour of St. Louis, this charming village is a true 19th century time capsule, and it's a superb example of historic preservation movements. The village of Maystown is more than picturesque. If the lens cover is off and your thumb isn't over the lens, I challenge you to take a bad picture. It's nestled in a timeless setting of forested hills, the Mississippi River bluffs, and spring-fed streams. The town was founded in 1852 by Jacob Mays, who was born in Ogersheim, Bavaria in 1828. The town was settled entirely by German immigrants. And here's an interesting little footnote. Into the early 20th century, all town business and records were kept in German. Another example of how special this place is, the entire village, save for a small strip of land on the northeast side of the stream, is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The gutters, the church, rock walls, the mill, and most homes are built of stone or stone and brick, and they date to the mid-19th century. The road into town crosses a graceful stone arch bridge built in 1881, a real gem. Incredibly, a few decades ago, this town was on the cusp of becoming a ghost town. Most of the buildings were empty, and then a group of like-minded preservationists stepped in and they gave it a new lease on life. A wonderful example of the preservation efforts is the Corner George Inn. Dating to the 1880s, the inn consists of the original inn, as well as the summer kitchen, 2 rock houses. There are a total of 6 guest rooms, each with a private bath, sitting rooms on both floors, and a beautiful 600 square foot ballroom upstairs where they serve the most wonderful breakfast in the morning. Lots of fresh fruits and pastries. I highly recommend this. And if you're on Route 66, it's kind of a short detour. Pa taught me that if you can't say something good, don't say anything at all. My dearest friend and I have stayed at some motels and hotels that are memorable for the wrong reasons. And most of us that's traveled any can relate to that. Still, I have always tried to find something good to say about a property or a motel. It's located in a scenic place, or there's a nice restaurant next door, or something. More often than not, I'd simply say that I can't recommend this property. One rare exception to this rule was the Green Tree Inn in Victorville, California. In all honesty, I should note that my experience occurred quite a few years ago. Perhaps, I hope, the owners have addressed some serious issues. I won't go into details, but suffice to say, this was one of only 3 negative comments I have made on TripAdvisor. I simply said, why stay at the Green Tree Inn when you can sleep in your car or under a bridge? I think you get the picture. I would really like to give the Grand Victorian Inn in Park City, Kentucky, near Mammoth Cave, a raving review. But I never got to stay there. I did, however, have one of the most bizarre lodging experiences in all my years on the road. This old railroad hotel is located on the old Dixie Highway and several earlier roads. It really is a 19th century treasure. On our visit, I had confirmed reservations the day before. A selling point was an on-site restaurant. This was important because accessing the town on the other side of the railroad tracks required a drive of about 5 miles. The original crossing was gone, and the few restaurants in town closed early. Well, imagine my surprise when we arrived and the entire place, hotel and restaurant, were closed. Now, this place is isolated. There's no neighbors. So after a couple of calls, I reached the owners. They claimed that as we were the only guests that evening, the restaurant had closed and they were out of town until morning. Well, at least that assured a quiet night's rest. They said that the key to our room and to the front door were under the coffee can next to the rocking chair on the porch. Well, that was kind of odd, but it was about to get even stranger. The place was beautiful. It was filled with period furnishings. In the lobby, the first impression was quaint. Then we noticed thick cobwebs in the old lampshades and behind the pictures on the mantel. Then we noticed that in the long ground floor hallways, there was noticeable dust in front of the rooms off the carpet runner. And there was only a light at the end of the hallway. Now, our room was upstairs. It was the same there. Dust, no footprints, except in front of our room. Fresh towels on the bed, but the toilet bowl was almost dry and there were rings where the water had evaporated. One bedside lamp, about a 40-watt bulb, dust in the bathtub. Did I mention the music? Throughout the building, wherever we went, there was this faint sounds of Vivaldi. No noticeable speakers. The vintage organ in the parlor was thick with dust and cobwebs. I used the excuse for not having a restaurant. We left, we didn't stay, and I put the key back where we found it. I called the owners, and we were told there were no refunds. Anyway, lesson learned, we drove about 75 miles after dark to find a motel. It was just opposite the experience of a night at the iconic Wagon Wheel Motel in Cuba, Missouri. Connie Eccles has lovingly restored this property with an attention to preservation and a blending of modern amenities. The rooms are quaint and comfortable, and you'll be hard-pressed to find a better host. Now, let's take a bit of a detour all the way to Rothenburg in Germany. This town is really, really neat. It's amazing. And this hotel is fascinating. But if you're looking for something a bit less touristy, my money's on Dinkelsbühl, another little medieval town nearby. Still, Rothenburg is impressive. The hotel has all the modern amenities, but there's an array of historic touches. Doorknobs, iron door glass covers, banisters, and I highly suggest an early morning walkabout. As this is one of the most popular medieval cities in Germany, it can get crowded, at least before COVID. So early mornings, you beat the crowds and you get some great photos. I walked most of the city around sunrise. This included climbing into the old city wall ramparts, and I walked around the city. The old city gates were really impressive, and the views of the river valley below from the cobblestone streets made me feel as though it were 1800 or even 1600. There were so many interesting discoveries, unique architectural details over doors, picturesque stone foundations on a back street, fountains, half-timbered houses. This rates very high, is one of my most memorable morning walkabouts. Our next stop is Marshall, Michigan. This wonderful little village is located just east of Battle Creek, so it's in southern Michigan. The National House Inn is extraordinary, and it's quite unique. The inn was built in 1835 by Colonel Andrew Mann. He used lumber from the Ketchum sawmill and bricks that were molded and fired on site. This is not only the oldest brick building in Calhoun County, it is the oldest operating hotel in the state of Michigan. It was located at the halfway point between Detroit and Chicago on the old Chicago Road. Then, with the arrival of the Michigan Central Railroad in 1844, it transitioned into a railroad hotel. In 1878, the National House closed its doors as a hotel, the victim of dining cars and Pullman sleepers. It was converted to a factory devoted for the manufacture of windmills and farm wagons. In 1902, the building was purchased by Dr. Dean, a local veterinarian, and he remodeled the house to its original floor plan to serve as 8 apartments. It was as Dean's Flats, the inn passed the first 3/4 of the 20th century, gradually falling into misuse and disrepair. By 1976, this place was in bad shape. Enter dedicated preservationists Norm and Catherine Kinney and Hal and Jackie Minnick. They stepped in, they restored the National House to its original purpose and design. It reopened for business on Thanksgiving 1976. The attention to, excuse me just a second. The attention to period detail is impressive. It's almost like an immersive experience. You step back into the 19th century. There's some wonderful restaurants in walking distance. And the breakfast served in the morning, oh my gosh, it is excellent. Now, let's head west for Tucumcari, New Mexico. The Roadrunner Lodge Motel was originally 2 different properties. The older portion on the west was built in 1947 as La Plaza Court. Then Agnes Leatherwood built Leatherwood Manor next door in 1964. The properties operated as 2 separate hotels for many years. Then in 1985, the properties were combined into 1 motel. Well, after a 5-year abandonment, and it was bad, I can attest to this, homeless people literally living in the rooms, it was bad. David Brenner acquired the property in 2014 and initiated a restoration. And what a bang-up job he has done. He advertises the motel as a touch of 1964 swank. That is an ideal descriptor. He's gone to incredible lengths to ensure the rooms transport the guest back to the mid-1960s, but without sacrificing modern amenities. A stay here will definitely extend the Route 66 experience long after the sun goes down. And if you stay at the Roadrunner Lodge, don't forget there are some great neon signs in the neighborhood, an excuse for a little bit of evening walkabout. And within walking distance are great dinner and breakfast options and some really classic Route 66 restaurants. I want to share something here that this is, I want to share this with you today. This is a lodging option. I first learned of this place quite a few years ago, and it has been on my bucket list. It's in the northwest corner of Arkansas. The Beckham Creek Cave Lodge website has this descriptor. The lodge is unlike any other place on earth. Uniquely designed, urban revival themed, this luxurious and comfortable 12-person, 4-bedroom, 4-bath, 5,800 square foot home is located in the beautiful Ozark Mountains of northwest Arkansas near Jasper on 256 private acres with end-of-the-road seclusion. Check out their website. They've got a tremendous video and a lot of photos. And after I've watched this countless times, their description really doesn't do it justice. It's an apt descriptor, but it's a gross understatement. This place is amazing. Now, as it sleeps 12, perhaps a few friends could get together and make a weekend of this. Laughs, lively conversation, hiking on forested trails. Summer or winter, I bet this is a comfortable place. You could stock the kitchen and the bar, and maybe have a conference, a planning session. Do you have any ideas? There's a reason I suggest we do this as a group gathering than an individual stay. Are you ready for this? Price. Obviously, this is going to be on my bucket list for a very, very long time. $1,600 per night. 2 days minimum for holidays and weekends. But what's even more incredible, look how booked they are. It'll be September before there's availability. So all I can say is a lot of folks have some very serious money to spend on adventures. My friends, I sure don't want to get too long-winded. I try to watch that clock. Don't want to wear out my welcome. So I want to give a shout out to a few of my friends on the road. Louis Keene at Uranus Fudge Company and General Store. Excellent fudge and quirky entertainment. Juvenile entertainment at its finest. That is the hallmark of a visit to Uranus. They have the world's only circus sideshow museum. They have escape rooms. And Mayor Louis Keene is working on expanding Uranus to include miniature golf and other fun-filled activities. This is a Route 66 stop that has to be visited. It can't be explained. It has to be experienced. You don't know whether to be shocked, smile, or laugh. When you leave, the employees will say, thank you for visiting Uranus. I sure hope that next week you can join me for an adventure of the automotive kind. I'm going to be talking auto museums. A few of these, like the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Museum, are world famous. Others, like the old carriage house out of Jackson, Michigan, are going to be a little obscure. But we'll be talking about the Gilmore Auto Museum and some other museums that have specialties. And if you're a fan of road trips and cars, I think you're going to find this of interest. As always, I promise lots and lots of road trip inspiration. If you'd like to rewatch this or any of our Sunday Morning Coffee with Jim programs, or share it with a friend, it is archived here on the Facebook page. And usually within 24 hours, it is added to our YouTube channel. If you need more road trip inspiring ideas, including signed copies of my book, check out our website, JimHinkley'sAmerica.com. And you know, I need to say thank you to Joe and the boys of the Road Crew for our theme song. Speaking of road trip inspiration, check out their website at roadcrew66.com and listen to some tunes that will have you thinking neon lit nights, coffee and pie in an all-night diner, and the two-lane highway stretching to the distant horizon. Speaking of the Road Crew and neon, listen to their tunes from Under the Neon. Quite impressive. Well, let's see who we got this morning. We'll answer some questions. We've got David from David and Jim, all the way from Kentucky, and Miss Marla, the one and only Lulu, with us today. Miss Maggie May's with us from Michigan, and Michelle's with us this morning from California. Brian's with us. God bless, that's good. Do you have any questions that I can answer for you this morning, or anything I can do to tell you where to go? Well, my friends, I am so glad that you could join us today. I'm always glad to share these adventures. Telling people where to go is my specialty. Got some neat things, updates. Check out on the Facebook page today, this afternoon. Information is on the Jim Hinckley's America page. Brian, let's see, the Windy City Warrior. Yeah, Lou Mitchell's gym is a great. You know, I just wrote about that. If you're coming from heading east to west, I recommend Lou Mitchell's. And if you're going west to east, a great place to end your Route 66 trip is the Berghof, downtown Chicago. It's one of my favorites. This afternoon, speaking of Chicago, Dave Clark, the legendary Windy City Warrior, a first-rate author, speaker, and just a great tour guide to the Chicago area, Route 66 specifically. He's hosting a free program this afternoon on the international nature of Route 66. It'll be done through Eventbrite and Zoom. You can find information, like I say, on the Jim Hinckley's America page. And he's going to have some great guests. It'll be Toshi Goto from the Japanese Route 66 Association. It'll be Dries Bessels of the Dutch Route 66 Association, and a few others. Angela, you know, it's never too late. Like I say, the program is archived here on our Facebook page. It's added to our Route 66 channel a little bit later in the day. And I'm glad you've been busy. For you folks who might not know this, Angela is the proprietor at the mid-50s Cactus Inn Motel in McLean, Texas. And we want to applaud her for keeping this little gem, this little time capsule alive, giving it a new lease on life. McLean's really a fascinating little town. First impression, you drive through, yeah, it looks like it's on the fast track to becoming a ghost town. It's definitely a little bit sleepy from what it was 50, 60 years ago. But it's a pretty neat little town. It's well worth exploring. Here's a little tidbit for you. There's a great little site just east of town. It's the old World War II POW camp. And it's well worth. Delbert True did a lot of work out there, bringing that, preserving that. And you can find information on that at the Devil's Rope Route 66 Museum in McLean. Andy, how are you doing this morning? Well, running, like I say, better late than never. Well, folks, do you have anything I can answer for you? Any questions? Any thoughts, ideas? Well, if not, I'm going to button this up. I have got a lot of work. I posted some updates yesterday. I've gotten myself, it's nobody's done it to me, but my dearest friend and I are kind of used to eating on a regular basis, and to keep that going, I believe in making hay while the sun shines. And as a result, for the next couple weeks, and I'm going to be busier than a one-legged man in a behind kicking contest, but it's all good fun. Got some exciting things coming down the pike, folks. I think you're going to be really, really get inspired by some of this. Oh, Angela, you know, it's no problem. Don't worry about the picture opportunity. I may do. Delbert and his wife, you know, I haven't seen them in quite a few years. How are they doing? Are they still out there on their ranch by Jericho? Wonderful people, just absolutely wonderful. Well, my friend, you take care. And we'll do this again next week. And like I say, we're going to be talking car museums next week. And I think you're going to find some road trip inspiration in this well. Until then, vaya con Dios, mi amigos. Adios. Have a good day and a good week. And Angela, give me a holler sometime. Do you have my phone number? If not, I'll send it to you. Take care. Bye-bye.